Welcome to the broadcast. I am the Reverend Dr. Mark Stenberg, Senior Contributing Editor.
And I'm the Reverend Russell.
We are coming to you live from St. Paul. Well, it's live now.
It's live, yeah. Recorded live.
Yeah, from the Empire Building on Robert Street, St. Paul.
Yeah, and
frigid St. Paul.
It's a little bit cold here, but it's a good Epiphany 5a, and we got the text from Matthew. We're continuing on, second installment in the Sermon on the Mount, chapter 5, Matthew 5, 13 through 20.
Got a whole string of teachings here.
Yeah, this is what do we got here? What strikes you here?
How about you?
Well, I mean, just the thing, you are the salt of the earth. I mean, that is like a phrase that I'm sure must have come from here, right? You know, this is like the salt of the earth. And but if salt has lost its taste, its saltiness, how can it be restored? Well, one would think, obviously, when you hear that, well, obviously, it can't be. You know, but it's kind of, salt can't lose its saltiness. It's not, chemically, it just doesn't,
impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
So what does that even mean? I mean, usually these things are based on experience, you know, like when the tree blooms in the spring, right? Because I've seen it. But nobody's tasted salt and going like, you know what, this salt is just not salty anymore. Let me throw it out and we'll trample the...
Tramplings.
Yes.
Salt trampling.
Yeah, what's the trampling of the salt? And nobody's throwing salt on the ground, it just kills everything. Right? They salt the fields, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird starting phrase here. How can its saltiness be restored? Maybe there's some sort of, it's about grace somehow. Well, it doesn't need to be restored because it can't ever lose its saltiness. I don't know.
It is really odd, though. That phrase has been... You know, the vernacular, the salt of the earth refers to somebody who's very common.
Yeah, right.
Ordinary, hardworking, whatever.
Right. You are the salt of the earth.
To Jesus' followers, it's completely the opposite. You're supposed to be different than everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. You are the salt of the earth. Yeah, you're not just like the regular Joe who gets
No.
You're very. That's a good point. You're really different. Yeah. And the same way, you are the light of the world. Boy, that is a phrase that really took off, didn't it? Light of the world.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I always remember right after 9/11, George Bush from Ground Zero immediately went and in his speech from there quoted from this, and he said that we, meaning America, are the light of the world.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my goodness.
Let your light shine before others.
Let your light shine before others. This is what your Sunday school teaches you to, teacher teaches you to do. Mm-hmm. And that means be a good example. Shine, exude Christian love.
All that stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. No, which isn't necessarily bad.
Right.
Right? Exuding Christian love.
Right.
It's just it's like, there's this song, This Little Light of Mine, where they take it right away to the shaming. Hide it under a bushel? No. Because the implication is, given your druthers, you're probably going to hide it under a bushel.
The wagging finger of shame.
Literally,
no.
The motions to that song are wagging your finger of shame. Hide it under a bushel. No. Anyway, we could make jokes about this most sacred and beloved text for a long time, but it's really kind of a hard thing to preach. One, because you could choose every sentence to preach a sermon on.
Yes. It's overwhelming.
It really is overwhelming. But why do the lectionaries cut it into these chunks that they give us?
They were making a lot of compromises.
Yeah.
Trying to keep everybody at the table.
Right.
So feel free to do it, strike your own work on where you want to cut it off and what you want to include. But the challenge is always how do you get away from the moralism and the predictable, acculturated message that, be good, don't be bad.
Right, and avoid landing hard on the last line in this pericope. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. And so we'll leave you with that.
All right.
Let us know how you preach.
Yes.